Hello everyone, welcome to HYCU webinar, Preventing SaaS Data Loss. We have people just still joining in, so we'll give it a couple of seconds before we start. All right, people still joining, so maybe half a minute more and we'll get started. Get your coffees and get comfortable. Okay, I think just a couple of more. I think it's okay. Let's get started. So welcome to HYCU presentation, how to prevent SaaS or services data loss, and how to do it via incident response plan. So my name is Marko. I'm running our solution engineering here at HYCU, and we're going to talk about a lot of things in this next half an hour, but I really want to trigger your ideas and thinking into why do you even need a plan, and what is SaaS, and how to have a response plan ready in case and when, not if, but when something goes wrong. And at the end, I think we'll have some time also for a live demo of HYCU product as well, which should help you. So first of all, why do I need a plan? This is how things looked like 15 years ago. I think we can all agree it was nice. It's no longer like this. We are all using services everywhere and anywhere. And this is something that actually requires protection. Why? Because as much as we don't like it, Murphy's Law is always there. And there is deletions, misconfigs that can happen, or ransomware, obviously. And if we put ransomware on the side, because ransomware you'll hear always and everywhere, and we'll talk about it as well, obviously. If you look at an our support, you'll see that in probability is much bigger that you will actually hit yourself by doing deletions and misconfigurations. So either way, either of these scenarios hits you, you want to be prepared. And just to cover a couple of these, and I'll use Atlassian Cloud as an example, but what happens is users or admins, by mistake, they have a lot of work on their hands. They delete a large number of issues or spaces or pages on these SaaS applications. Or they have a script which somebody developed to automate something. It was run prematurely, or it was run on the wrong set of data and something deletes. So that's a big impact, obviously, on the loss of knowledge and the company's productivity, as well as their customers as well. And if you think about cloud services, which are there, if this is AWS, for instance, again, it's an example of a public cloud. If a role is gone or a wrong key is deleted in AWS, there's a lot of things which can go wrong. And this is, for example, I took one of the customers whose line is pretty accurate. It really depicts how you feel when this happens. Then I saw all 2,000 S's disappear in a second. And you actually can, I ran a script also once wrongly, and I saw just things get deleted. It's not a nice feeling, and really you want to have a solution and a plan when this happens, right? So let's talk about another aspect, which is ransomware. And it continues to be a huge threat to all of us, apart from ourselves and deletions and misconfigurations. And especially now in the age of AI, the quality and the speeds of these attacks is even more improving. Because the same way you can ask AI to answer you something related to business or even personal, right? You can ask it also to write you a script which attacks somebody. And it's that easy, right? So it's obviously logical that the amount of these ransomware attacks is on the rise, and they're more quality oriented. And this is why, especially from one of the reports which we analyzed, 52% of attacks are actually successful on the SaaS applications, so on the services applications used. And that's a You'll agree that's a big, big number, right? So let's talk about the risks and how this is looked from the SaaS application perspective. So again, our classic VMware back in the old days. Nowadays, we have SaaS applications which are used widely by the customers on collaboration, sales, HR, pretty much any vertical of the company and any segment of the company is using their own set of services. And it's a huge explosion. And yet when we, as a vendor which helps with this, we come to customers and we ask the customer or the IT of the customer, how many SaaS application do you use or does your organization use, right? What percent of these applications are paid for and managed by the IT, or how much of them are actually managed by the outside of the IT? The answers are very, well, fun in a way. what we get is logical, and always the reaction from the IT is, yeah, we use SaaS. Yeah. Well, mostly Office, we have Salesforce, maybe they answer Google Workspace, and that's pretty much it. It was similar answer when we asked our IT. I mean, and this is one myth which is definitely busted, right? So apart from the averages here on mid-sized businesses using 200 apps, it's very, very legit. And the amount of SaaS, just look at your mobile phones and the amount of SaaS applications which you're using, the companies are no different, right? And even though IT might think it's just Office or Salesforce and maybe a dozen of these applications, the other question was very important as well. Who is actually procuring and buying these SaaS applications? And the answer always is, yeah, it's our IT. Another myth busted, because if Joe from marketing needs to use something, it's very easy to subscribe, put your credit card in, and you have a company card, no problem. Put it in, you're using a SaaS application. Something goes wrong, where is the data? So on some of these statistics, 25-ish% is actually managed by IT, everything else. And this is actually proven also, the percentages were right also for our company internally. When we started all of this a couple of years back, we obviously were our own guinea pigs. So this all means that there is a lot of SaaS applications which are not controlled by IT and not backed up. And when you ask people, and this is a generic thing, and who answers this, it's way too many people, but it's SaaS. This is the regular thing. It's the regular answer for many customers is, yeah, that's the point where we use SaaS. The SaaS provider is actually protecting my data, and they're responsible for it. And this is probably the biggest mistake which is there currently in the industry, which we're trying to solve, because SaaS, or not solve, but share the knowledge about, because SaaS vendors are in no way responsible for the service. They're a garage. They're providing a garage, but if something happens to your car or the goods inside your car, they are definitely not responsible. And this is your responsibility. And you will not find a garage which actually vouches for your car. And that's actually true for any SaaS application wherever it's hosted. So it's a shared responsibility module, which means, again, SaaS vendor is providing the garage, where you as a customer need to take care about accounts, security, data, compliance, tenant, users, everything else. This is yours. And obviously this needs protecting. When you think about cloud services, so let's say not classic SaaS applications, but infrastructure, database, platform as a service, which are hosted in the public clouds, this has also, the modern architecture are using dozens and dozens of these applications you can see on this picture, which is quite complex, and I will not go into it. But the point is, very many of these as a service applications are used on the public clouds as well. Again, AWS is here used just as an example. It's the same for any other public cloud. It's Google, Azure, and so on. And who would imagine? Again, the same thing. The customer is responsible for the data and identity and access management and everything else. So regardless of the SaaS application or DB or as a service infrastructure, it's always the same. And then the third part, which is often forgotten, is the single sign-on. So this is how a regular infrastructure works. A lot of times you have something on-prem, you have some firewalls, you have public clouds, you have SaaS applications which you're using, and everything. It's from security aspect, definitely something everybody wants is multi-factor authentication, a single sign-on provider that is now able to log into your complete environment. But hey, this is also managed and controlled by a human being, which can make mistakes. So important thing is to also protect your single sign-on provider. Very important, right? So this is why, as I started, this is why. And what is the answer? Well, really recovery is the answer. So obviously you want to implement many layers between yourself and the attackers, and between yourself and yourself who is deleting things. You want to be able to detect stuff, protect, identify these things. But as we discussed, 52% of the attacks are actually successful. So you really need to have that last resort, which is to recover in case of need. And this is why you need an incident response plan, right? So incident response plan, if you look it up or if you studied from college books and so on, it can have many steps. It can have steps at the very beginning. First step is to actually analyze your own company and figure out who's going to be responsible person for this, who's going to be taking care of this, is the CTO and so on. The last step is going to be to do analysis and postmortems and react and processes and so on and so on. But I really don't want to touch the complete portfolio of the whole incident response plan. I really want to focus on the part where we can help you and what we are here to do, right? Which is to help you recover the data, which is what we are doing in the backup, right? So what you really want to have as an incident response plan is, first of all, a preparation, meaning that you can first know what you need protecting. So you need to visualize what your landscape looks like, what kind of SaaS applications you're using. And I'm really focusing on SaaS, but it's applicable to your complete environment. And you need to be able to identify these single sign-on configurations as well and protect, right? So when it comes to protection, part of the incident response plan to know that they are automated, that they are put on some immutable storage offsite, that you have logging, reporting, notifications, everything to notify you if something goes wrong, right? And then the third part is that you recover, that you're able to recover, but more importantly from the incident response plan is really the testing part, so that you can schedule and you have documented and scheduled recovery testing done on let's say quarterly basis or even monthly basis, depending on the sizes, right? But then that you're also able to perform full disaster recovery in case of issues, or if you think about those deletions, which happen the most often, granular recovery. Because if you don't have granular recovery, you're not going to be able or want to restore a whole, again, I'll use Atlassian, a whole Jira project just because somebody deleted an attachment, right? But you're going to miss painfully this attachment if it's important. So this is where the granularity comes into picture, right? So this is what you want to have. And this is why HYCU is here to help you, right? So we really provide a full unified protection across the whole organization. So again, starting from the on-prem infrastructure on your Dells, on your VMwares, Nutanixes, on your public cloud, but then also focusing on the largest amount of portfolio in the industry from data protection perspective, covering the breadth of public cloud services, infrastructure, database, platform, as well as SaaS applications, right? And this is just a handful of these which are showing on this thing. So how does HYCU help? First, we really help with something called rGraph, which is here to help you visualize all the applications which you have in your single sign-on directory, right? So this means that we will automatically discover as soon as you deploy HYCU as a service, or actually you subscribe, you don't deploy anything, you just subscribe, you get HYCU as a service, we will automatically visualize all of these applications and we will categorize them for you so that you know which segment, which part of the company is using which tools. And at the end, what we'll show you is a very important thing. We will expose each of these services and we will expose what are they using, right? What are they, do they actually have backup? Can you run a backup on your own in an automated fashion? Can you do a self-service recovery? Can you put the data somewhere offsite in an immutable storage that nobody can touch on? And some of the apps might have some of these points. Majority of them will have nothing, right? And what this tools allows you now to do is to see it all, have it all in one place, and then also argue to your management and to the company that, hey, we are actually not protected. We need to make sure that we have a plan for this. and if something goes wrong, that we can recover from this. So this is part number one, right? The other part is also that we can meet the backup requirements, that we can, in a very simple and effective manner, protect these applications. So what we have is a concept of policies in HYCU, which allows you to just standardize on everything. So you can have one policy, for instance, in this case for Jira, but you can have it for all of the SaaS applications. You can just say the RPO, how often do you want to back up the data, how long do you want to keep it, and where do you want to store the data, and in an immutable fashion. And you just assign this policy to your complete environment. So it's that simple. You subscribe, you discover, and you assign a policy, and you're already protected. And this is your backup side. And then obviously it's important that, especially in today's day and age, that you have encryption, which is fully incorporated in the product, but also that you have the data in your accounts, right? So that we as a HYCU, as a company, we are not a storage company. We don't want to store your data. You always have the ability to control where the data resides. It's your storage accounts, it's your networking, and it's stored on your S3 buckets with immutable copies. So you have full control over this. And at the end, what we provide you is really full recovery of your complete SaaS application, or really the granularity, which is different for every of these SaaS applications. Each of them is going to be different, providing you per application methodology to recover just a single part of it, right? If this is, again, I'm going back to Atlassian as an example, but if you lost an epic, you lost a ticket, you lost an attachment. If this is a Confluence, if you lost a page, if this is Okta, if you lost a user, if this is AWS IAM, or KMS, you lost the key, deleted, you can just restore that key, right? So really, this is where HYCU comes in to provide restores of configurations, of attachments, of granularity into your own, back into the SaaS application, and all done from your storage. And obviously, you want to be notified about all of these things. And you want to be able to track everything, how this is going. So what's HYCU rGraph is going to show you is how you're protecting now these applications, what's still maybe missing, and also give you the ability to get events and everything that HYCU does, get notified, get warned if something is wrong via various tools like webhooks. You can get notifications directly into your Slack or Teams or into your ServiceNow, right? So I think what I want to show you really now is seeing is believing. So I just want to spend 3 to 5 minutes to show you the product in action and see how really simple this HYCU service is. So what HYCU is, it's a data protection as a service. So you just subscribe to it from Marketplace, public cloud marketplace, or direct. You log in with your single sign-on providers, and immediately you are already at HYCU, which is deployed just in a couple of minutes or less. And what you'll see here is our subscription, where I can now, on the whole level of the organization, for the complete organization, I can see what kind of applications I'm running, what kind of applications are protected, what kind of applications maybe are not protected, like this self-service restore is something Dropbox has, but you can't have backup automation, right? Maybe what does Zoom have, and so on. And all of the other applications which HYCU is actually protecting in this particular environment, all compartmentalized, giving you clear visual representation of your environment. And then if you want to easily compartmentalize them and say, look, I want to have different set of policies, different set of rules for my engineering, for my DevOps team, for my sales team, you can have this via something called HYCU Protection Set, which allow you to seamlessly compartmentalize this and have different set of rules for the whole thing. And if we look at now how SaaS marketplace, or how SaaS is added into HYCU, so you have a complete marketplace. So SaaS is actually delivered as a platform. So even if some of the SaaS applications are not yet protected by HYCU, we are actually working together with our partners, which are developing on top of our platform, to deliver them as soon as possible. And obviously, currently already, if you look at all of us in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, we deliver, I think, 5 more than all of them together, the number of SaaS applications which we are protecting. So this is I love to show this and scroll down because you're gonna, if you remember that first question, how many of these SaaS applications are you using? It's just Office and maybe Salesforce, right? But when you start looking at this, you see that you have actually much more, and you recognize some of the things you might be using, right? So how do you configure any of these? You just go into HYCU Marketplace, you configure, you enter some API keys and anything you might need for a particular application. HYCU is automatically going to discover it under SaaS applications and be able to back it up. And then if you need to be able to restore it, as we were mentioning, right, you simply go here, you select the restore point. Let's say you lost something 3 days ago, you select the restore point, you click restore, and you're able to select in granularity what you need to be restoring, right? So if this is a Confluence thing, you might want to be attachment or a page. If this is, let's take another, let's say take a GitLab, for instance, as an example. Again, a whole various variety of different granularities, and each of them is going to be specifically built for the application itself, so that the admin of the app can actually find its way and be able to recover this seamlessly. And as we were mentioning, all of this is part of the same product very, very natively. And from the where the data goes to, this is what we call targets. This is where you really see the multi-cloud fashion of HYCU. So you can really back up the data into Amazon, into Google, Azure, or any other S3 compatible target as well. So really what HYCU is data protection as a service, multi-cloud data protection as a service, protecting not only the SaaS applications, but as we were discussing, the public cloud as well as the on-prem infrastructure. All right, so keeping it short and sweet. I know we all have a lot on our minds, and I don't want to be too long and bore you to death with slides and webinars. What I want to encourage you to do is to get started with HYCU. Very simply, you can do this by using rGraph, which is not something I mentioned so far, but I will mention it now, is actually free of charge. So rGraph, the part of HYCU tool, which is there, or the HYCU functionality, which is there when you subscribe, is completely free of charge, and you can use it with your own company. If you're partners, you can use it with your customers as well, to just see what you're not protecting and to have a clear representation of first part of the incident response plan, which is visualization, and see what needs and requires protection. Because if you're not protecting it, you won't be able to recover it. And if you don't know about it, you won't be able to back it up. So this is the most important part. So please scan and start using rGraph already now. It's, again, very simple to subscribe in a minute, and you can already be discovering your workloads. All right, let me check the questions a bit. Q&A. All right, so from Andy, can we back up SaaS applications into storage on premise? Yeah, Andy, so we can do this, or actually this is something we announced right now, to be able to back up into S3 compatible storage also on premise. And another question from John, is ServiceNow supported? So I'm not sure if you saw the marketplace as I was scrolling it through, right? ServiceNow is not there on the marketplace yet, but is actually in progress with one of our partners. So this is planned shortly. So this is good news for ServiceNow. And last question. Yep. So how is our cloud licensed? It's licensed per module, basically. For SaaS applications, it's licensed per module per user. So depending on the module and the users, or if this is a larger like box or RDS and similar applications, then it's licensed per capacity. Let's see if there is another. Nope. All right. This is it. Short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. And please think about these topics and start making your own incident response plan, and let HYCU help you with discovering the workloads and then protect it. Thank you very much.